3419. That's 813-253-3419. Or visit him at 301 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida. Ray Williams Funeral Home, for the finest care and quality service.
It's time for another episode of Tampa Bay Politics, and I'm Angela Birdsong, one of your hosts, and also affectionately known as the Medicare Lady, because I help people age on to Medicare. And I'm here with my host, journalist extraordinaire, Miss Mary Gerard.
Thank you so much, and welcome back. We had a little hiatus.
A little bit of 1 week.
Yep.
But we're back, and you know, if you are just too busy to find out what's going on in politics in the Tampa Bay area, let us be your tour guide.
Yeah, we cover it all. And before we get started, I just thought I'd like to say something about the 911 memorial today.
Okay.
Yeah, if we could just take a minute and just think about all the first responders and, you know, all the life that was taken. And I think our world was completely changed right after that happened. And a lot of the things we're dealing with now and suffering from, and the divisiveness and the painful experiences that we're experiencing. And I just hope, you know, one day there'll be unity in our community.
God bless all those souls
Yeah.
that went to heaven that day.
Thank you for letting me expound on that. All right, let's get to the show. We have a great guest.
We got a really exciting guest
Yes,
today.
yes, we do.
We have Miss Amy Weintraub, and she is a social activist. She's out there doing the work.
A lot of it.
A lot of the work
in a lot of organizations.
when it comes to reproductive health.
Yes.
So the reason I specifically asked for her to come is there's so much lies out there and misinformation that some politicians are spreading, and knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And we want our voters to be educated. So, Amy, let's talk about you.
Oh my gosh.
Your
Do you hear
audience
that
is there.
applause?
Yes, they love you.
Oh my gosh, it's such a pleasure to be here with you guys today. And yeah, you're totally right about knowing the facts, having those in your back pocket to pull out when we're talking with our neighbors and our friends about people running for office and how to vote. It really does empower us as you know, as voters trying to influence for change. So I'm all about spreading facts.
Good, good. So tell us a bit about you, your unique story, how you got started, where you were born, all that good stuff.
Well, I'm a mountain mama. I'm from the hills of West Virginia. I grew up in a tiny town called Spencer in Appalachia, in about an hour north of the West Virginia capital, which is Charleston. And I had one of those, you know, relatively easy childhoods and upbringing where my parents were both school teachers, which in Appalachia puts you solidly in the upper middle class because there are a lot of folks that are struggling to
even today, poverty stricken.
Absolutely.
Totally.
So anyway, but even as a youngster, I was very interested in politics. My parents are both conservative. They were Republicans, so I got involved with that first and was a teenage Republican, president of my high school club, and went to summer camp sponsored by the Republican Party every summer. And I really learned some great skills at those events and through that experience. But then what actually was an exchange student for a year in Scandinavia, and boy, did that open my eyes to what could be, what society could be like.
I was born and raised overseas. I was born in Germany, raised in Germany, lived in Central America 2 times, and yeah, that has affected every decision I make as an adult. Very different.
Yeah.
Very liberal, very open, very okay about talking about it, talking about their bodies. Just a whole nother kettle of fish.
It's true. And of course, regarding health care and health care
sexuality,
provision,
whatever.
sexuality, all that's
Prostitution is legal. They have medical mandates.
Yes.
I mean, just so much smarter.
And also just existing really easily and well in that type of socioeconomy. You know, it really shifted the way that I saw the world and the way I saw what could be. That we could be, Appalachia could be a place where there was no hunger, where there was no homelessness, where housing wasn't, people weren't vulnerable at losing housing or losing employment, and no matter what, there would be a safety net, etc. So I came back I came
changed
back,
woman.
Fired up.
yeah, and I was a Democrat from there on,
Yeah.
and in college. I was it went to Emory in Atlanta, and at that time, Operation Rescue, the anti-abortion extremists were really hot and heavy in the late '80s in Atlanta, and they were attacking the abortion provider there. And I became a patient escort as a volunteer, and that really, really got me into
Wow.
the movement. And I've been in reproductive rights ever since then. Professionally, I've done a few other things, like I ran an agency back in West Virginia that called Covenant House of West Virginia, which is a homelessness agency, and also it was the AIDS service organization. So I've dabbled in other parts of the social justice movement, but I always come back to reproductive rights.
Oh, okay.
And so West Virginia Free, which is the big pro-choice coalition, if you will, there was where I was employed before we moved to Florida 4 years ago. And I worked there, well, first as a board member and then as a staff member for years, and really, really became educated on the movement and understood how to identify, educate, and activate followers or voters to to get engaged.
And even today, healthcare, number one issue, generally,
Yeah. Right.
and reproductive health is part of that.
It
Yes,
is.
it is. It's a package. You can't have one without the other. If you're a woman, I mean,
For sure.
a huge
for
part
sure.
of our body.
It's a huge part of our lives, controlling, being able to have agency over when and if we have children, how many children, and the spacing between them often dictates our success in getting education that we need in order to be productive citizens. It dictates how we move up in our employment and our careers.
Absolutely.
So it's a huge part of our existence.
Yeah, and it's every bit of it has been politicized. Like the 6 weeks leave, for mothers and fathers. A father can take 6 weeks and take care of the new baby, and the mother can
As
take
well as the
6
mother,
weeks.
yes.
They're putting it out there, and it's getting shut down. I mean, having children is it's huge, and it needs to be supported, and people need the health and benefits behind it. And the laws to protect them as well.
It's true. You brought up 9/11 earlier, and I'm sure most people who look back at that time can point to it as a time that we were under attack, and we also were really scared. We were scared as a nation. And when people are afraid or anxious, that's when they become more conservative. And since then, we have seen.
Yeah.
We have seen the conservative movement grow in ways that weren't predicted, and had 9/11 not happened, I'm not sure that it would have.
Yeah, that's true. It's usually some large-scale critical factor for, the Nazi takeover. It was the Depression. They had a huge depression prior to Adolf Hitler, wheedling his way in there and scapegoating the Jews and the banking industry run by Jews in that country. So there always seems to be a major catastrophe when we go into a fascist kind of environment or dictatorships.
Now,
style
Amy,
of
you're
government.
involved with an organization called Progress Florida. Can you tell us about that?
Well, that's my full-time job. I work
Okay.
there. I work there as the Reproductive Rights Program Director. I started about a year and a half ago, and I'm thrilled to be part of that team. Progress Florida is, Move On, the big
Yes.
national.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We kind of consider ourselves the Florida version of Move On. Much of our work is done online through social media, through email, and through our website. We really feel like that is a way that we can influence the way that people are getting their information. So but our mission is to awaken Floridians to a more progressive future and what that can be like, and get them on board and moving our state toward that. So reproductive rights is a priority, but so is the environment is a huge priority. We're interested in courts and making sure that our courts are not overtaken by conservatives, and that they stay fair, and that
Yes.
the people appointed to them are
We
fair-minded.
have a big problem with that with the Florida Supreme Court right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an issue in our state. It's an issue throughout the country with our federal courts as well.
Yeah, it's
Now tell us, who is the head of that organization and what is your position there?
Sure. My boss, the director, is Mark Ferrulo, and he was the founder of Progress Florida. Awesome guy. I think Progress Florida is about 11 years old.
Okay.
And
the office is where?
we operate throughout the state. We have folks here in the Tampa Bay area as well as in Tallahassee.
Okay.
But we do consider ourselves a statewide organization, and I'm on the road a lot, traveling to different parts.
Do you do the Hands Across the Bay for the cleanup at the beach? Was that your organization?
No, I believe that is Sierra Club.
Sierra, okay.
Or we have a sister organization, Environment Florida.
Yeah,
and
Environment Florida.
I got confused with that.
No,
yeah.
I apologize because I see it all over Facebook. I know you from Facebook
Yeah.
pretty much. I get
Yeah.
all your stuff. Environment Florida, Progress Florida, Move On. I get a lot of those on Facebook. So you have a very vibrant presence.
I'm glad to hear that. We
Yeah.
work hard at it.
Yeah.
Now there's
It's good
another
stuff.
love of your life, Planned Parenthood.
Well, and I have worked for Planned Parenthood in the past. I was their public affairs coordinator in West Virginia. And Planned Parenthood is doing more to keep people from getting pregnant if they don't want to. And
Planned Parenthood.
yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, don't they only do abortions?
Yes,
No,
that's what
they
I
do
hear.
Planned Parenthood as well.
Right,
You know?
right.
For sure, over 90% of the services they provide have to do with either, birth control services, cancer screenings. Some Planned Parenthood health centers also offer maternity care. I mean, they do so much more. In some places, Planned Parenthood's really the primary health care provider for women in those communities. So, yeah, Planned Parenthood
That's
is
why
a
women
great
go
partner.
crazy when you say, don't touch my Planned Parenthood. That's, for some people, that is their lifeline when
You're
it
right.
comes to health
Right.
care.
They're not going to, a $350 visit to the gynecologist.
You're right.
They can't afford it.
Yeah.
And if you're not working, you're going to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, that's it.
And there are so many people who are working who still choose it because you know what? They provide excellent care,
Okay.
unbiased, comprehensive reproductive health care. So lots of people choose it for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
They're a great partner to Progress Florida.
Okay.
So how did Progress Florida begin, and how did they evolve into the social networking system? Do you know anything about their history?
I know that Mark and my colleague Damian Fowler, who's up in Tallahassee, they had worked with other progressive organizations for years as organizers, and they saw a need as sort of the internet, as people started getting more and more of their news and communicating about politics online. They saw that there was a gap and that they could, with their expertise, really work to fill that. And they have. They're part of the Progress Now umbrella organization, if you will. We have folks like ourselves working in states across the country and, trying again to get the information, the right information, the truth out to people who are eager to hear it.
So if I was interested in finding out the many umbrellas you have, organizations, how would we get in touch with your organization?
Of course, just visit progressflorida.org and you will find out more than you ever wanted to know about Progress Florida and the many issues that we work on, that we care deeply about, and that we're trying to activate folks around.
Do you
Yeah.
have events, Progress Florida?
No, we, although I often and my colleagues will go out and speak, we do not host events on our own, but almost never. So we're an
You
online
come on as a
organization.
guest speaker
Sure.
occasionally.
Yeah. I have at least a couple of, I'm talking about reproductive rights, I have a couple
Right.
of speaking engagements a month.
Okay.
But
And
otherwise,
what are
yeah.
those like? When somebody says, I need you to talk, who is calling you out? Who's asking for your help? And what do you usually explore with folks when you actually present?
I talk about the state of reproductive health care in Florida, the issues that are often brought up in Tallahassee and Washington, D.C., about the courts. But I also talk about reproductive health care as it's delivered. We talk about abortion care and how common it is. We talk about things like how healthcare is delivered differently to different sectors of our society.
Yes, we did a show on that.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we talk about a lot of different things. But typically, who invites me to come, it it tends to be women's groups, like National Organization for Women or League of Women Voters groups, Democratic women, that sort of thing. But I've also been invited to speak to like the retired lawyers of Sarasota County. And, you know, it really...
Lawyers need to be educated on this issue.
People need to know.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to know.
Doctors
Men and
need to be
women.
educated too.
Any civic
doctors.
group, anybody
I should say
interested.
healthcare professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the state of affairs for reproductive rights in the state of Florida? What can you tell us about it? I know it's not good news.
We have a lot of anti-abortion extremists who have been elected. They do not reflect.
That's very bad.
It is. They do not reflect the will of Floridians, though. I mean, our poll after poll shows that 70% or more of Floridians believe that once a woman's decided to have an abortion, she should be able to access that with respect and without shame and without barriers. Yet, year after
Safely.
year, of course, safely, and year after year, we have these extremists in Tallahassee trying to throw barriers in the way. And
Why would they do that? I don't even know why they would do that.
some of them are diehard believers. I mean, they truly are. Others are using women's health as a pawn in their game. They see it as a way to get votes from other extremists. And so why
Some
they're doing
of it is fear because they know that there's going to be a lot less white people than minority people.
There could be racial, for some people, certainly
Yeah.
there are racial components too.
Yeah.
It's already break time. I can't even believe it. I felt like we just got started. I think we did. So let's pay some
All right.
bills, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Sounds good.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Hi, this is Trina Johnson with Caldwell Banker Real Estate, the real estate agent you've been looking for. If you want top dollar for your home or you're looking to make a purchase, call me at 813-244-6953. Again, 813-244-6953, and let me list your home.
My name is Gil Sampson. I didn't come from a very rich family, and so paying for college would have been very tough. I don't know if I would have been able to go to the college that I went to, and then I don't know if I would have gotten into the career that I am in. So I think Bright Futures has done a lot to shape my life. Got a job as a structural engineer, and I design residential buildings, commercial buildings all over the United States. Because of Bright Futures, I was able to go to college. You know, so many kids just don't even ever get that opportunity. And to be able to do it and not have any debt when I graduated is amazing. And it was all thanks to Bright Futures.
Florida has created more than 1 million jobs in only 5 years, and a great education connects our students to these exciting opportunities. That's why the Florida Lottery has funded Bright Futures scholarships to help over 725,000 students attend college. Because every play is for education. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
The flashcard thing? Yeah, okay, I'll do that as well.
Hello, welcome back. Boy, do we have an exciting topic and a controversial one. But you know what? Women's health is huge. It's huge when you go to the voting box, and we have a social activist. I mean, her whole life is dedicated to reproductive health, getting the facts out. She's on a mission. Amy Weintraub with Progress Florida.
Here's her fan club. Yay!
Love it. It makes my heart swell.
You're like Sally Fields. I can't believe they love me. No, just kidding. Speaking of loving you, let's get back to our topic. We're discussing the state of reproductive health and legal issues in Florida. So it's not good news.
Right. I mean, you remember that last session, they tried to make it harder for teenagers to access abortion by, right now, the law is that one parent must be notified if a minor is trying to access abortion care. And they tried to make it so that the parent had to actually give permission, which is just another level of barrier.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah, of bureaucracy.
Yeah. See, and just access.
It's really, really difficult. Most teens, by the way, do involve their parents, over 90%. But for those teens who don't or can't, there's a reason.
Right.
Often it has to do with abuse or neglect in the home. And so there's a reason that those teens need to be protected, and they need to be allowed to access their right to reproductive health care without
Intervention.
undue intervention.
And you know what? No matter how old you are, you should have a right to what happens to your body.
Yeah, we do have agency over that. We should have agency over that, and they do. Although any teenager who wants to get around these rules can go to a judge, I'll tell you, our research, the movement's research into how county courts deal with that, and with a teenager calling to ask how she can get a judicial bypass, as it's called, vary so much. I mean, some teens would have to call back multiple times to get the right answer, to talk to the right person. And what 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old is going to be able to deal with that? Most adults can't deal.
Cannot navigate the court system.
You got
Absolutely
it.
not.
You got it.
Yeah.
So it really is a way of keeping teens from getting abortion care. So that's one thing. Even though we were able to get it defeated, we do know that it will rise its ugly head again. And then sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Other.
Can I just jump
Hey,
in here?
this is Daryl Johnson,
This is Daryl
owner
Johnson,
extraordinaire.
DJ CEO here. And let me just, I guess, I would be in opposition of my child having an abortion without my knowledge. I think that's a good idea for a parent to be.
That's
to be
because you're a
notified.
good parent.
But now, I'm pro-choice. I just believe that sometimes giving teens and children too many rights is a mistake.
And as a responsible parent who has a wonderful relationship with my 17-year-old daughter, I totally would hate to think that she couldn't turn to me in a time of need.
Absolutely.
And I want to be involved with any health care issue that she has, and certainly something like abortion, I would want to be involved.
But it's also, the way you raise your kids. I was in 6th grade when we saw the movie about, how babies were made. Yeah. My parents asked us, do you get that? Do you understand it? And we talked about it. And there were, talk about condoms. I was also raised in Europe. There was condoms in bathrooms. You can go in and get a condom wherever you went. Sexuality and, that kind of thing wasn't shrouded, and it wasn't hidden, and parents talked about it. My parents talked about it very early on.
Yeah.
If you get pregnant, this is what we can do, and we talked about it. It wasn't hidden away.
It's just that you're going to have those situations where the child cannot come to the parent.
Right. And
if the child wants to come, that's wonderful. But if there's some extenuating circumstance, including incest, we want to give them that way out.
Yeah. And we also have one thing in our favor. We were talking about it earlier. Teens are having less teen pregnancy. Is that correct? Can you give me some stats on that?
The trends are, it's been happening for over 10 years that the teen pregnancy rate has gone down. Also, the abortion rate has gone down.
Yes.
We believe that has to do with increased access to birth control and better birth control with much more use of long-acting reversible contraceptives.
Tell us what that is.
Yeah. Those are contraceptives that are usually like the IUD or the subdermal implants, where the hormones are put under your skin, inserted, or a shot, where you don't have to go back and get a new one for 6 months. Or in the case of an IUD, a copper IUD can last 10 years. That is, you will not need any other form of birth control for 10 years. And as those have become more popular and more affordable, and through the Affordable Care Act, actually,
Supporting
must be provided for free. Birth control must be provided for free by every insurance plan. Fewer women are experiencing unintended fewer girls and women
Yes.
are experiencing unintended pregnancy.
So we've had successes on that home front. And we were talking about men as well. Tell
Yeah.
us about the vasectomies. I had a friend of mine who's, was thinking of having a baby with his wife. He got a reversible vasectomy. And he's like, if we choose to decide, we'll take it from there. He took responsibility. He brought it up. I was shocked when I heard him say that.
Yeah, vasectomy is a excellent alternative, or not alternative. It's an excellent choice that more and more men should consider. It is far less invasive than a tubal ligation. It does not require you to have hormones in your body. It is reversible in most cases, depending on probably.
And tubal ligations are for women.
Yes. Yes. Right. It's where the fallopian tube is severed so that the egg cannot get down into the uterus.
Right.
So, yes, right. The vasectomy is a great choice that I wish more and more men did consider. In fact, here in Tampa, where we are, there is a physician called Dr. Doug Stein, and he is available to do no and low cost vasectomies to men who might need them.
Who can't afford it.
Yeah.
And guess what? I got his number. He's right in Lutz, Florida, 813-949-5962. That's Dr. Doug Stein.
And they're reversible. I mean, if you do decide to have children when you're ready and you have the finances and the right partner or wife, whatever you choose to do, you can have that kid.
Well, let me just say, after number 4, I did have a
He's giving us all the information.
I'm just wondering, is there a time or an age rather for men that you would recommend, or that Dr. Stein would recommend that one be had?
I'm seriously in doubt that there is a specific time, because that's going to vary from man to man. It's when they decide they probably don't want to have any more children.
Right.
That
Or
would be
any at all.
Yeah. Any children or any at all.
Yeah.
I'd also mention that there was a documentary done about Dr. Stein a few years back. It's called The Vasectomist, and I believe it's available online. But he actually travels the world doing no and low cost vasectomies.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I want to reach out to him because it's good to know.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to promote him.
Yeah.
Yes,
it
we
might
do.
be a good show.
Yeah.
Do you run into ethnic disparities when it comes to birth control? I'm Hispanic. My heritage is from Mexico, and my mother has always told me my whole life her culture has a hard time with asking the male partner, to wear condoms and to take any kind of responsibility in the birth control mode. Do you run into that? Do you talk about that?
For sure, that there are cultural differences when it comes to willingness of women to speak up about their needs on a whole bunch of things. But I'll tell you, there are systemic problems too. We know that in communities where women of color live, that there are fewer healthcare facilities. We know that there are fewer birth control clinics and abortion providers. So that means those women have to travel farther, often taking more time off of work and trying to find transportation to other parts of town or other counties to access care. There are real disparities. And this latest gag rule that the White House has put on Title X clinics, that's the big federal program that provides birth control primarily to low and no income women. It is going to have a really, really big effect and harm more women of color than any other demographic.
Specifically, how does that rule work?
That rule says that if you receive family planning money from the federal government, you are no longer allowed to refer women with unintended pregnancy for abortion care. You will not talk with them about their options. You can only talk with them about continuing their pregnancy to parent. So a lot of our providers, such as Planned Parenthood nationally, are saying they're not going to be part of that program anymore. And that means they can't get those great federal funds that allowed them to provide services for free or at very low costs. Women are now only going to be able to go to their local county health department to get that same level of care.
And, again, one of the misnomers and the lies and the obfuscation of the truth is that all Planned Parenthood does is give people abortions. Let's put the kibosh on that rumor. What does Planned Parenthood do?
Planned Parenthood provides a myriad of services to women who need them. Cancer screenings, birth control, vasectomies for men.
Wow.
I wasn't aware of that.
They do. They provide care for transgender folks. Over 90% of their work is not at all related to abortion.
Yeah, and that's been driven home differently from the political arena.
Absolutely. We hear all kinds of ridiculous myths about Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
So you talked about, and I know I'm injecting myself into the conversation.
That's fine.
lady,
It's interesting.
But I just
A man's point of view.
I just needed
Yeah.
to just jump in, so forgive me. But you talked about the not being able. Well, let me rephrase it. Do we need to vote people out to change the legislation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we
It's
do.
only hope.
Yeah.
That's our only hope. And can the legislation change as quickly as we get new people in office?
You got it.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. So we need to talk about voting as well.
Yes.
That's another show.
People have to vote, and they have to be ready to vote. They have to be informed about who the right choices are.
Yeah, it was a sad statistic, and that women got Trump elected. A high percentage of white women got Trump elected.
It's sickening.
Evangelicals, all over the place, which,
Let's talk about Tallahassee. Who might we want to vote against? Could one be Jamie Grant? You know what? We have a lovely teacher running against him. Her name is Jessica Harrington. If you happen to be in that district, look for Jessica.
yeah.
And we
I
have
know.
a couple of teachers running. What about
Scott, I cannot pronounce his last name.
Mr. H?
Yes, Mr. H.
Hottenstein.
Hottenstein. I speak German and I can't.
Another
get it.
teacher,
Dr.
yes.
Hot-
So we've had some
Yes.
teachers step up,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
very interesting,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
great speakers.
Yeah.
So let's see who else we might want to vote
Scott's
out.
going to be on our show. I forgot to tell you. At the end of the
Who
month.
else would we want to vote? Gus Bilirakis? Do we want him out?
Good. I don't know. Is
If you care about women's reproductive health care, he does not vote the way he does
That's
not
right.
vote correctly.
That's we got to vote against him.
This is
we got to use names.
This is a good point. Yeah, we got to use names. Is there a list of people we should know about that are for reproductive rights in the state of Florida and locally? Can we get that information from somewhere?
What we need to do is watch for WHO Now, the National Organization for Women, and Planned Parenthood's Action Fund, who they endorse, because that's the clearest way to see who our reproductive rights champions are. And so I'm sure that those are available on their Facebook pages, or if they've made those endorsements yet, that's the place that I would trust.
you said a lot of white women voted Trump.
A high percentage of it. Yes, got him elected.
Do you all have a pulse on what their position is now in terms of voting in 2020?
What I've read
Great question.
is that there are people who know they were misled during his campaign. I think a lot of folks were aching for change, and that's why we saw so much energy around Bernie Sanders' campaign as well, because these were, they were speaking sort of in revolutionary terms and really to upset the system. Trump spoke that, Sanders spoke that. And that really hasn't happened.
Well, no, he's delivered change. It's just not the right change.
Yeah.
Good point.
And the people he was speaking to, their lives haven't improved.
Yeah.
And so my hope is that, some of those people are going to be the white women who voted against their own interests last time and will vote correctly this time.
I am very happy to say that 2018, we saw some white women in the suburbs. Mm-hmm. We saw some African American women going to the polls. And so I think we're going to see more of that in 2020 because women, I think, are going to be the big voice in the next election. Yeah,
there's more of us. We're a higher percentage than the men.
And healthcare is a huge issue on the ballot.
Yes.
Most people who are going to the ballot box are thinking about my healthcare. And my family's healthcare.
And I know with your acumen in the industry, you know,
and
you're all for it.
Medicaid for all. That's another one.
Yeah, universal health care.
Did you know that 50% of the babies are born on Medicaid in America?
I did. You have alerted me to that statistic. I think we discussed it on one of our shows. It's surprising. I always learn something new, even sitting here hosting.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we got to go to the break.
Break time.
Someone's got to pay the bills.
Work for you. believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking kids state of Florida. Grab a pen of sundown 184-361 Rick. That's one. Just ask Ricky, push your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361 Rick. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Hi, this is Dr. Veronica Walters, also known as Dr. V, the head of school at the Walters Academy for Entrepreneurship, a place that we like to call The Way, where we're educating today's youthpreneurs to be tomorrow's billionaires through social entrepreneurship. Do you have a student who's bored, frustrated, gifted, inquisitive, creative, business-minded? Then maybe you need to check The Way out. Listen, we have an educational platform that allows for individualized instruction. It's strength-based, project-based, and designed to help your student become the absolute best they can while starting their own business and being an entrepreneur. If you're looking for something different and you need to find a more excellent way, then you need to visit us at The Way. That's The Way, www.thewaetampa.org. Or you can call us at 813-603-7923. We look forward to showing your student a more excellent way at The Way.
Hello. Welcome back. Well, this show is going real fast because we've got a jam-packed hour. It's all about reproductive rights, and we need to know the facts. An educated voter is a smart voter.
Yeah.
And you know what? I am on the board for the League of Women Voters in Hillsborough County, and I invited a speaker to come in. You know who her name is?
Could it be Amy?
It's Amy Weintraub.
I won.
She's coming. She's coming, and she's going to speak to our group in Hillsborough County. Everybody is invited.
Where? Give us the information.
It's free of charge, and the only thing I'm asking is you come and get some education. And it's going to be Wednesday, September 18th. It's going to start at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be at the American Legion Building, Post 111. That's 6918
Is that
Florida
in Sly Avenue?
Florida and Sly.
Yeah, that's it.
Right across the street from Bo's Ice Cream.
Yeah. Bring your
stop at
questions,
Bo's
right?
And then come on over.
Wow.
Okay, Amy, what you going to talk to us about?
Oh, I'm gonna fill your minds with great information that you need to be able to speak very eloquently and comfortably and confidently about reproductive health care.
You can be a badass.
Yeah, I'm gonna empower you.
Whoa, wait a minute!
Empower
It's the first time I've heard her use the A word. Whoa, she's all fired up.
We know Angela's fired up when the A word comes out, but that's exactly the kind of fire I want to light under the league members and anybody from the public who comes. The League of Women Voters is so close to my heart. It's my number one activity that I do outside my job. I'm in the St. Pete League. That's where I live, and I've made such great friends since moving here 4 years ago through the League. It's my favorite thing about living in St. Pete. You know, our league, like the Hillsborough League, has hundreds of members. We have almost 500 members in St. Pete, and
we only have 400.
Close enough.
But it's just such a fun and interesting group, and it's a way. You know, I love the diversity in the league and all of the issues that we work on.
Should we be bringing our daughters and sons or whatever sons?
Oh, yeah.
I'm from Boys Learning.
Yeah.
It is a great way.
Men are invited.
Yeah.
Everyone's invited. It's a great way to, you'll go home with things to talk about with teenagers from this event. So I would encourage it. Also, I will be in Lakeland for anybody who's over in Polk County on the 30th with the Polk County Democrats. And that's at the United Women's Club of Lakeland at 6 o'clock. And I'll be there with a couple of other groups like Planned Parenthood and a member of the clergy, and we're going to be talking about faith and reproductive rights. So a little bit of a different spin. But in any case.
Wait, that's interesting. Faith and reproductive rights. What will you be talking about there? Because I know even in my ethnic community, Mexican community, faith plays a huge role in not even allowed to have contraception.
Yeah. I will tell you that from my experience working with women and for women, that I have seen so many people of faith who also believe that women should be able to make their own childbearing decisions, and again, deciding when to have children, how many to have, etc. And we've got great groups here in Florida that are working really hard to make sure that the full spectrum of reproductive rights stays safe,
available,
and legal.
yeah.
And that includes Catholics for Choice. That
Right.
includes the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice and the Interfaith, the Florida Interfaith Coalition for Reproductive Health Care and Justice.
Wow.
And that's mostly populated by clergy. So, there are lots and lots of people who are pious and full of faith and who still really, really work hard on this issue.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people say, contraception is against my religion. So, if the kid gets pregnant, oh well.
Yeah,
and I've heard it. I've heard that growing up. I've heard it.
Yeah. You know what? There are a lot of Democratic candidates, but one thing that I do love is they all have unique voices. And I am very happy with Pete Buttigieg because he talks about his faith.
He does.
And he talks about how, even though he's gay, he's a man of faith. And we have to remember there are a lot of people out there who are faithful, like me, and still believe in contraception.
Yeah. It's changing because it wasn't that way when I was growing up Catholic. I mean, boy.
And still believe in choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good. That's amazing. So if folks need more information, where do they go? To the Progress site?
Sure. It's on Progress Florida's Facebook page, certainly on the League of Women Voters of Hillsborough County, on their website, and on their social media outlets. You can find all the details.
You can call Angela Birdsong. She's hosting it, 813-476-4837.
Do you text Angela?
I do. You can text me. I'm hosting it with a lovely lady named Lori Winkles. We're the co-chair.
Lori used to be my boss when I was 18 years old. When I first moved to America, I worked at the right across from the University of Tampa. She was my boss at Jennings and Epstein Advertising, who did the Rowdies, A Kick in the Grass. So I told her about our show today on Facebook. I told her
Wonderful.
to listen.
It's going to be a very, very good event. And one of the reasons why I wanted to host this is because there's so much misinformation and just spreading out lies.
What are you hearing about misinformation? I told you I had a guy tell me that partial abortions where the baby's hanging out and they murder the baby, and that you can have an abortion up to 9 months. And I know that's not true. What are you hearing? Just the same
I'm hearing
thing?
things like, and usually when there is a late term abortion, it's because the baby cannot support life. So we don't want to give people the impression that, hey, this would be a lovely baby, and the only reason we're aborting it is because we don't like the hair color or the eye color. No, the baby cannot support life. Like, it doesn't have a brain or a spinal cord or something.
Sure.
So these are really difficult decisions that women are making with their doctor and God. And we want to just let the voters know, do not believe the lies.
Yeah.
It's just to get your vote. So that's why Amy's coming.
It's true.
And what kind of lies do you hear? I mean, do people come up to you and say outlandish things that you have to professionally redirect?
Yeah.
Because you are a professional.
Mostly I talk to very friendly groups that are really eager to hear the information. But, of course, I see the fake news or the lies propagated on the media, and it is very, very disturbing.
News.
Yeah. Or even from our own president. I mean, you might remember during the debates that he had with Hillary Clinton. That's when, this whole late term or abortions that happen later in pregnancy.
Right.
That's when he really lit the fire under that, when he made totally false claims about women who have abortions late in pregnancy. It was ridiculous and horrible.
We all know how he feels about women. It's really disingenuous to begin with.
For sure.
Daryl has a comment.
I do. Speaking of fake news, I was looking at your website, Progress Florida. You all have something on there about fake clinics. Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Anti-abortion pregnancy centers. We have 191 of them in Florida. And there are at least, I'd say, 10 here in Hillsborough County. We have about 10 in Pinellas County. And these are places that that set themselves up to look like health centers, but in fact are anti-abortion operations. And they try to lure women in order to be able to counsel, and I'm putting the word quotes around counsel, talk women out of accessing abortion care. Their main mission is to keep women from choosing abortion. They often will set up right beside an actual health clinic and call themselves things like Choices or Women's Center, so that women will be tricked into coming in there. They don't actually provide birth control. They certainly don't provide abortion or referrals for abortion. So we call them fake clinics, as sort of a nickname.
You got some names that we need to be aware of that we're here in Hillsborough and Pinellas County?
Sure. Give me 1 second and I'll get the list. But again, we want to, and we definitely want to get the word out to Hillsborough and Pinellas County women about them. Let's see.
Do they do actual ultrasounds in those clinics?
That's one of the techniques that they do. Is they'll say free ultrasound,
Okay.
But the folks who are doing the ultrasounds, they're often not trained in medicine, and they're not nurses. Sometimes they are, but often they're not.
Ugh.
You don't have to be in order to do an ultrasound, you don't have to have any specific certification in Florida. All right, in Tampa, we have a Woman's Place Medical Clinic. Assure Women's.
Where is that?
They have 2 locations, one on University Cove Place and one on West Kennedy. The one on West Kennedy is right beside an actual abortion provider.
Close to the universities.
Mm-hmm. That's another. They often go where young women with unintended pregnancy will live. One on Nebraska Avenue is called Assure Women's Center. It's also known as Oasis Pregnancy Care Center. In Brandon, Choices Women's Center. In Ruskin, Choices Women's Center. There's a Foundations of Life Pregnancy Center operated by Catholic Adoption
Where's
Services.
that one?
That one's on Armenia Avenue in Tampa. Guiding Star Tampa. This one's really problematic. It's in Lutz. They actually offer this thing they call abortion reversal pill. And there's no science behind it. It's totally misproven. But their claim is that if you take medication abortion and change your mind, they have a medication that can stop it. But it's just not the case.
They're saying that they can stop an abortion? That's been
through medication abortion. So if you take the medication abortion, they claim that they have a medication that will stop it, but it doesn't work.
Wow.
Knights Women's Center, also in Tampa. And Pregnancy Center of Plant City. Mm-hmm. That's the final one in Hillsborough.
Well, through all that, I came up with a question. Let's say you're not sure whether you want to keep your child or not. What would Planned Pregnancy do about that? Is adoption an option? Did they discuss that? What if you decide to keep it?
Yeah, all women's health center, actual women's health centers, of course, will talk about the 3 options.
What are those?
Continuing the pregnancy to parent, making an adoption plan, or abortion. And any actual caring doctor who's on the up and up is going to provide all those legal options.
Okay, sorry, I got a little distracted there.
Not at all.
Okay.
And that would happen certainly at Planned Parenthood. Yeah. It will happen at your own private practice OBGYN, unless they happen to be an anti-abortion person.
Yeah.
And at, say your typical community-based family planning clinic.
Yeah. Okay. I hadn't been to one, so I wasn't sure all that they offer.
I have been to one. Yeah, I ran into one when I was going to Exciting Ottawa Baptist. There was a lady running one out of there. But she wasn't affiliated with the church.
Right. No. You met the lady.
I met the lady.
Yeah.
Are you talking about you went to an anti-abortion pregnancy center, or you went to what kind of place?
It was a clinic. Mm. It might have been the Oasis one, and I went in there because she was looking for volunteers, and I learned all about the clinic. And I think they were, if they weren't doing the ultrasounds, they were trying to. Mm-hmm. But their whole thing was they had clothes for new moms and diapers and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They wanted to get the woman to basically change her mind about abortion. Mm-hmm. That's their whole objective.
Most of them are faith-based, and they come from that place we were talking about earlier, where they really believe that it is in opposition to their religious beliefs.
Yeah, and it is big. I mean, I hear the music. Excuse me, I cut myself off. Show's going really quickly, so we're going to take this. Our last break, is that right? Okay.
Alrighty.
too quick. So we'll be right back after we pay the bills.
Hi, this is Dale Day. Join me every Monday at 7 p.m. for Jazz at Miss Connie's house, bringing you the smoothest jazz and the coolest guests right here on In Touch Radio.
This is Linda Archie with Taya Temple United Methodist Church. Join us every first and third Saturday of the month at the Village Market, East Tampa, 3206 North Sanchez Street. Free parking, free admission, fresh produce, live entertainment, vendor shopping, and delicious cooked food. Join us every first and third Saturday of the month, beginning June 22nd. For vendor information, call me 1-888-991-2502. See our ad in Touch News or Florida Sentinel. Please call me at 1-888-991-2502. The Village Market at East Tampa, 3206 North Sanchez Street.
Ray Williams Funeral Home, providing the highest quality, professional, and caring service for your family. Call Jeffrey Rose at 813-253-3419. That's 813-253-3419. Or visit him at 301 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida. Ray Williams Funeral Home, for the finest care and quality service.
Hi, I'm Donald L. Dowers Jr., your motivational guru. This is the DLD Motivational Moment. One darn second. America since 2017 is suffering from a serious hiccup. 9/11 is seriously overused in a distasteful manner. Every day the cops are calling on an innocent person of color. It amazes me that America has come down to this. A person of color becomes a person of interest. Waffle House, the dorm, Starbucks is a few. This is not the lunch counters, sit-ins of the 1960s. 2019 harassed simply for being black and proud. Hold on one darn second. This has been the DLD Motivational Moment. Pre-order my new book, Motivational Moments, at DLD282002 at yahoo.com or 813-394-5875.
Okay, we're back to Tampa Bay Politics. And boy, do we have a hot topic on the table today. We're talking about reproductive rights. And just to let you know, we are having a great event, and that's September 18th. That's coming up soon. And Amy will be our speaker for the League of Women Voters. And we were talking about all the advances that we have now when it comes to contraception.
Yeah.
And how lucky we are to have all the options available to us that work.
Yeah, and some misnomers. I guess we can clear it up. We were talking about the after pill that's available in America and the one that's coming out from Holland. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us the difference? What's
Sure.
been going on with that?
Okay, so one of the questions I grapple with, that folks grapple with and ask me about, is what's the difference between emergency contraception? Sometimes it's called the morning after pill. Sometimes it's called Plan B. What's the difference between that and medication abortion? Are they the same or not? They are actually entirely different. And let's talk about each of them. First, emergency contraception. Now, this is something that you take if you have unprotected sex and you don't want to risk getting pregnant. You can take it up to 5 days after unprotected sex. You can buy it in the grocery store. No, actually, you can buy it in the grocery store. At Publix, it's behind the counter.
Right.
But at CVS and at Walgreens, it's available right out on the aisle with the other family planning stuff like condoms. Mm-hmm. You can buy it. It's about $45 for a dose. Now, honestly, my teenager, she is not sexually active to my knowledge, but I bought her a packet of it just to keep in her medicine cabinet in case anything happens. And that way she doesn't have to ask me about it. It's there. And if any of her friends, I told her, if any of your friends need it, it's there for you. So it's something to keep in mind that if someone has unprotected sex, whether it's because they were assaulted or whether it was because, things went too far.
Yeah, things happen.
To have that backup birth control is a good idea. But again, you can get it at virtually any drugstore in Florida. But medication abortion is an entirely different thing. It's an entirely different drug. So you might know it as RU486.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this has become approved by the FDA more than 15 years ago. But in the United States, because of politicization around abortion, the FDA has made it so that only doctors can give it to a woman, at least the first of the two drugs that make up the protocol. So a doctor has to enter into a contract with the pharmaceutical company directly. This is not a drug you can get at a drugstore in the United States. It's so unnecessary. This level of regulation's ridiculous. But anyway, so you would go to a doctor that has it. Generally, that's going to be in an abortion provider, but there may be a few doctors in private practice that have this drug.
Do any gynecologists keep it?
Maybe a few,
okay.
But this isn't something they'd advertise.
Okay.
So they have it in stock. Now, what drug does your doctor have in stock? Maybe some vaccinations, but no other drug. Maybe if they're a cancer doc, they may have some chemotherapy drugs in stock. But, this is, and by the way, this drug is entirely safe. Research shows that it is safer than Tylenol. And I'm not saying that flippantly. It is a safe drug. But again, because of the politics around abortion, it's so highly regulated, you can only get it from a doctor. So that's the way that it's given. Now, in other countries, you can actually buy it right off of the shelf. They call it the missed period pill. It brings on the period. It brings on miscarriage. It is an abortion. It ends a pregnancy. So,
and you can take this how long?
Up to 11 weeks. Okay. Up to 11 weeks after the missed period. Or actually, after the date of your last period, I should say. So up to 11 weeks of gestation. The interesting thing you mentioned about women on waves, that's a Dutch operation. It's a Dutch gynecological practice. They used to operate the clinic on a ship that would go off the coast of Ireland, and women would be ferried out to international waters to access abortion because abortion was illegal in Ireland. Well, guess what? They don't own that ship anymore. They now are just mailing medication to women who need it all over the world. They were not shipping to the United States, though, because we have we've had pretty good access to abortion care, but things have gotten so bad that last fall, because they've gotten bad because of barriers and clinics closing. Last fall, the organization, and now it's called aidaccess.org, aidaccess.org. They started shipping to American women. So you would go online, you have a video conference with a doctor in Europe. You have to prove that you are pregnant and that you're within the 11 weeks. And they order the prescription online, and it's shipped to you at your home, and you receive it within a week. Our research, the movement's research, has shown that the medication ordered from that place is 100% pure or whatever. It's good.
Yeah.
And often it's shipped from Indian pharmacies, interestingly, but it's great. It's effective. And it is safe. So I think that if Roe is gutted or overturned in the future, this will be the way we'll go. We're not going to go back to pre-1973 times when up to 5,000 American women died a year from botched abortions. We're not going to see that. Instead, people will be turning to medication abortion ordered over the internet.
I already heard that the FDA was trying to forbid the Dutch from doing that.
They sent a cease and desist letter, but so far the aidaccess.org is ignoring it and moving forward. With providing it. And I know, I haven't seen recent figures, but the first 4 months out, the first quarter after they started shipping, over 22,000 American women had ordered that medication through Aid Access.
Do you know the name of the pharmaceutical company that provides it to the Dutch?
It is all, the pharmaceutical company is the same. It's the only producer worldwide. There is going to be a generic come out, and it is called Danka. I'm thinking it's something like. Let me just.
I just wondered if it was an American company.
I'm not sure. I think it might be a French company.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that is where I know it was discovered in France. But anyway, and they have been the only provider for all of this time. But just now, it's going to be.
And how long has it been available?
In the United States, over 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. About 45% of American women who go into an abortion provider choose that. 55% are still are still choosing surgical abortion, but we're believing that number will increase as more people understand how safe it is.
I'm sure there's a lot of women who walk into a provider and don't even know it exists.
Oh, for sure. And they only think of surgical abortion, so that's what they would choose because that's what they really know. The other thing is it's only effective up to 11 weeks.
Right.
So a lot of women are past that when they go for the procedure. It's
and
not
the 11 weeks is after their last period.
Yeah, 11 weeks gestation.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it'd actually be like, that's not for me to.
The way that gestation is figured is very tricky. Even politicians, you'll hear them when they're debating. They don't know what they're talking about when they say 21 week. They'll try to ban abortion past 21 weeks or past 6 weeks. We saw a 6-week abortion
Heartbeat.
ban.
That's what they're trying for.
That 6-week abortion ban in Florida, they tried. We saw
Conception.
that. We probably will see that again. But anyway, they don't know what they're talking about. What 6 weeks is? 6 weeks after the last menstrual cycle. 6 weeks after conception. There's a lot of confusion around that too.
Mm-hmm. I could imagine a young girl being confused with that.
You know it. So if the fact is, though, the earlier in pregnancy that the abortion happens, the likely it is that medication abortion will be effective, the easier it is on the woman. So try not to delay care.
Yep.
Absolutely.
We got 1 minute left.
1 minute. We want to see you all down at the American Legion building, post 111. That's 6918 North Florida Avenue, Wednesday evening, September 18th, to see Amy.
We'll talk a lot more about all this stuff then.
Yeah,
And you do a little flashcard thing, don't you?
Yeah, we'll do some interactive exercises and
It's not boring.
It will not be.
And take a peek at the League of Women Voters website, find out what they're up to. Take a peek at the Progress website. There's a lot of things out there. Mm-hmm. And if you're a man, check out the vasectomy stuff. It's about time, men, to start taking a little bit of responsibility.
There's no reason why you shouldn't be involved because there's so many ways you can.
Absolutely. And I think we need to get more men on board with the contraceptive aspect of preventing pregnancy.
In these issues, absolutely.
Yeah.
If that's a decision going on in the home, the guy's got something to say about it.
Good.
Unintended pregnancy affects men too.
It
just like it affects
everybody.
Yep.
Sometimes a man has said, "We can't have one more."
Yeah.
He'll say it.
Yep. We need to hear more of that. All right. That's felt like a minute. Are we good?
Thank you, everyone.
Here we go.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks.
All right.
How do you think this is?
In Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
Hey, this is Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News.